Hello and welcome to the Flash Hour
Okay, now before that intro freaks you out a little too much, guys, what is up, and welcome to a brand new spooky episode of the Fresh Air Show.
Woo!
Yep, it's the
Happy
month.
Halloween times.
Yep, it's the month of fear, particularly Halloween.
Oh, Hallows Eve.
Yeah, and once again, I've redecorated the set to look more Halloweenish, and we've all come dressed up. Rowan, you're dressed as Zelda from the Legend of Zelda games.
Yee, my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Dudley, you're dressed as Heath Ledger's Joker from the Dark Knight movie.
Why so serious?
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, I'm a dinosaur. Why? Because it's the only costume that can fit a character with my sort of neck. So,
Yep.
and the three of us are a prime example of the costumes that people wear around Halloween, because mine sort of fits into the sort of goofy, silly category where you still appreciate it, but you can't help but laugh. Rowan's sort of falls into the category of the awesome effort that goes into making something, so yeah. And meanwhile, Dudley's is sort of the scary, frightful sort of character.
The one that's actually scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess Zelda is the Twilight Princess, so I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Boy, so has Halloween treated you well in your lives?
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Dudley?
well, I might have mentioned this before, but due to where I live being quite recluse, I've only ever been trick-or-treating once.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was with my cousins in Swindon years ago, so at best all I could do was walk up to our own front door and go, trick-or-treat!
Oh, Dudley.
And not get any sweets.
Oh, that is just depressing.
Wow.
It's like Australia. They don't know what Halloween's like either.
Well, so I have much Halloween activities to make up for, which would be like going to parties and stuff. Last year I did something for the first time too. I carved a pumpkin.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. I'll send you a picture of it. It's meant to look like Spiritomb from Pokemon. I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I can picture it. Yeah, I'm not sure when the first time I carved pumpkins. I think it was around like maybe 11 or 12, and I tend to be a bit nerdy when it comes to carving out jack-o'-lanterns, because I remember one year I did Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's. Makes sense, because when he gets you in the dark, his eyes and teeth light up, so makes exactly. And I remember last year, I remember I did Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine, so yeah.
Basically a spiritual successor in that part.
Yeah.
Well, last podcast I hinted towards a special surprise I'd have, and I guess the best I could do is send you another picture. And I recently bought a massive Pikachu mascot costume.
Oh.
And so I'll show you what that looks like, unless you want to go to my YouTube channel, because I made a video about it recently. But you saying about Five Nights at Freddy's, the way I've got it in my cupboard looks like there's someone in there looking out of it at night. It's pretty creepy.
I've seen that costume already. It's like the torso and the head look proportionally correct, but the legs are just uncomfortably long.
That's just because I'm tall, though. It doesn't help, really. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
Long man legs.
Yeah. It's that's a classic situation where you order something and it always looks bigger on the internet. Like I remember when I was in Edinburgh a couple months ago. During that time, Trump was going to be in Scotland, and so some guy ordered like this giant zeppelin of him with a whiny face wearing a nappy or a diaper.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Yeah, and when it finally arrived, it was only about the size of a beach ball.
Aww.
Yeah, I was
Well, it's
expecting.
gonna be way bigger.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was going to be like this giant, unavoidable monolith, but instead we got something that a toddler would play with.
didn't you read the description? You have to pump it up when you get it. So, from
Yeah.
beach ball size to zeppelin size.
That's what I call false effort. So yeah, we've described what our costumes are like this year, but in terms of costumes at Halloween, which ones have stood out to you?
Oh, I just got flashback to something.
Oh boy.
And it's not necessarily embarrassing as it was just sort of nerdy. I was much younger, but does anyone remember Avatar: The Last Airbender?
How can we forget?
Oh, I dressed up as Princess Azula from that.
Ooh.
See, my dad, he was the one who got me into it, surprisingly.
Good
Yeah,
dad.
he downloaded it and he was like, okay, here's this new series, let's watch it. And I was like, oh, hey, Princess Azula's pretty cool and she's scary. So Halloween time came around and I'm like, I want to dress as Princess Azula. And you know what Dad said?
What?
Okay, I'll make you the costume.
Ooh,
And
okay.
he actually made me it and it looked amazing.
Wow.
Do we have pictures?
I'll have to ask my dad if he still does, but I'll find out as soon as I can.
If not, I could always draw it up.
Uh,
Well, that's another.
I'll send you them if I find any.
Okay.
Cool. That's another series I kind of missed out on watching up. I've seen bits of it, and I know it's meant to be good. So it's another on my to-do list.
Yeah. The costumes that I've worn throughout my life, they've always been a sort of mixed bag. Like, I remember when I was a toddler, and you know when babies and toddlers are in that situation where your parents control what you wear and you're forced to suffer when you grow up. And so, I remember when I was, say, 2 or 3, and my mum decided to dress me up as William Wallace from Braveheart. And I was just like, why would you do that to me? It's just because I've seen VCR clips of myself wearing that costume, just looking all shocked, and I'm like, why? Now that I'm old enough to realize what this character's meant to be, it's just why?
I'm looking at a picture now. How do you even dress a toddler like that?
I don't know. Yeah. So, but that's sort of why in recent years I've started trying to make my own costumes. Why? Well, not exactly for Halloween, but for Comic-Con, basically. And, it is kind of satisfying to know that there's someone else in your fandom, and as soon as you meet them in your costume, you're like, hey, you're from my fandom, you know, fist bump. And I remember one year at Comic-Con I was dressed as Discord from My Little Pony.
I saw that.
Yeah, basically because he's pretty much the only roughly human-shaped character on the show, and I thought, yeah, I could probably pull that off. And so
Yeah.
I made like
Plus,
this.
he's pretty much the best character in general. Like, I don't watch it much, but I still love him because he has my sense of humor.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's like most of the clips I've seen have had just Discord in it, and they're priceless.
Yeah, just sarcasm all around.
yeah. And so, the way I tend to look at my cosplays, which is costume play or whatever, I tend to go for something iconic but also little known, so that people say, "Hey, you know this show exists," and there was quite a lot of bronies and Pegasisters there, and I remember seeing like these two little girls there, and I think they were about 7 or 8 at the time, and they were both dressed up as Princess Luna and Princess Celestia, and they sort of came up to me for a picture, and I just sort of stood behind them with like my marionette sticks props that I had on hand, and
That's cool.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just one of those things like, hey, I made this kid's day by dressing up as someone they know of, and we're proud of who
Being
we
able
are.
to pose them.
Yeah.
As far, honestly, like I said, inexperience with Halloween, but I have a few funny costume stories. I guess I could say this one. Me and my friend were in, as we live around Winchester, and we were going around, and there was like a fair on. And there was this person in a massive costume, and it had like, the best way I could describe it that made my friends laugh when I did, it looked like if Bowser and Hagrid had a son.
Whoa.
It was this massive, like, Hagrid-sized person with Bowser feet. And then he disappeared and was never seen again, and we thought, maybe this was an actual monster roaming around, or, I don't know, I kind of wish we'd got his story, because we never found out anything about it.
Oh god, it was pre-Bowsette. Ah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh God, do not bring that up here. It's a child-friendly podcast.
Yes. And if any of you don't know about Bowsette,
Do
don't
not
look us
No,
up.
no, we're not bringing that up.
save your innocence.
Insert jingle. You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. Well, this October has been very exciting for me and Dudley. Why is that? It's because we met up for the first time in person.
Indeed.
I was quite...
And Lefty as well.
Yeah, Lefty was there as well. You know, I was quite surprised because... I guess I didn't know what I was expecting, but there's a definite size difference between the two of us. And I thought I was a tall giraffe.
Yeah, so when I've made those fan posters, I made it so we look like the same height. I thought,
Yeah.
it was interesting to see the comparison.
Yeah. So, I was in London for the week, and we took the opportunity to go to the Harry Potter World Studios for the day, and we toured around the sets and the props that made the movies what they were.
Which was awesome.
Yes. Oh, it was brilliant. Like, they had, like, the Hogwarts Express in there, they had animatronics of the creatures, and oh, it was magical. Literally magical.
And the gift shop, and there was also the gift shop. Oh, and the gift shop! The gift shop was awesome.
Yes. There was so much choice in terms of memorabilia. Like my house is Ravenclaw, and so I managed to get my hands on like a scarf and Time Turner keyring, and I didn't want to leave Rowan out of the experience, so me and Dudley
Because I was stuck back here.
yeah, so me and Dudley pitched in and got you quite a few gifts, and you're wearing 2 of them now, if I stand corrected.
I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the
Yeah,
earrings tinkling.
yeah, the Deathly Hallows earrings. Those are from Dudley. So, yeah,
Yeah, they're lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah. And there were quite a lot of wizard treats from the movies that they actually made in real life, like chocolate frogs, fudge flies, and Dudley, you actually bought the every flavor beans for a friend of yours. Am I right?
Yeah, they're sitting in my room at the moment for a friend. Yeah, and he hasn't. I haven't had the chance to give them to him yet. I also tried the butter beer, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So.
I think there was. I just wish I could have had more space in order to just get more things. Like they had in preparation for Christmas in the next few months. They had like baubles and stockings, and it was brilliant. All the more reason to return back there if we get the chance.
Yeah, they had a
Sonic, come back.
Actually, I think that was Robotnik this time. That was louder than usual.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's getting closer.
That-
Where you are.
He's only just caught up to the Sonic that went past us the last time we mentioned it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, and Harry Potter Studios, we got I got Tom Riddle's locket and his ring, and they also had a load of stuff there I would have liked. Like they had a golden snitch there, and
Yeah.
I'm intending to get Slughorn's hourglass at some point because that would be cool to get, I think.
Wow. And those are pretty realistic props as well. Like, makes me wonder if they're going to show up in your videos at some point.
Potentially.
Yeah. You know, something funny that I wanted to bring up regarding that trip to the Harry Potter studios, like, I remember me and my family were on the train heading to Waterloo, and I remember my mum saw this poster, like, oh hey, look, it's the Hogwarts Express, and my dad corrected her and said, no, it's Hogarth, or something like.
Hogarth Hughes.
Yeah,
Because
because she only saw like the HOG and the ESS of the poster and thought, oh hey, it's the Hogwarts Express. It's not the Hogwarts Express, it's some random play that's happening in London right now. I don't remember the name, so I'll have a picture of it up on the screen. And I thought, you've got Harry Potter on the brain already.
Yeah. I picked up a couple of those chocolate frogs that you had myself, and then the next day I was at work and at Sainsbury's, and they had some chocolate frogs, and I was like, oh, I can get some more, and they were like the size of Freddo bars, and I was like, let down.
That's literally what chocolate frogs are. They're Freddos.
Yes,
Freddos that actually look like genuine frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, except they were Freddo's big brother, and they were huge.
Yeah. And like in the movies, they came with their own wizard or witch cards, and wouldn't you know it, I got Rowena Ravenclaw on my card. Like, you knew me too well, Chocolate Frog.
That's quite funny because I got Rowena Ravenclaw as well. I got it for my brother and sister, and they got a broomstick rider who crossed the Atlantic. And I was like,
You're opening up her Chocolate Frog now, folks.
Packaging.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you can hear me struggling.
Make your bets, people. What is Rowan about to get? I think she's going to get Salazar Slytherin, because that would be quite ironic, because I would have wanted that one.
My bets...
Everyone before we find out, put your bets in the comments below.
What do you think, Dan?
Godric Gryffindor.
Okay.
But I think it'd be hilarious if she gets Ravenclaw, like we did. Because that'd be
So, who did you get?
Oh. All right. Bertie Bott.
Ah! Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. Ah. This segment's come full circle.
Talk about advertising your candy. That's right.
Yeah.
You are listening to the Fresh Air Show.
So, Halloween, it's a season of tricks and treats. Now, we all know what the treats mean. It means getting candy and sweets from your neighbors, but have any of us...
From total strangers.
Yeah. So, have
Treats from your neighbours? I didn't experience any of that.
Dudley. But...
That's what
For those-
you get.
Yeah, but for those of neighbors who don't offer treats, that's where the trick comes in. So it doesn't exactly need to be on your neighbors, it can be on your family. So have any of us pulled any pranks around Halloween?
Luckily, my neighbors were never stingy enough to not give me and my brother any sweets, so they did not incur our wrath.
Dudley?
No, I can't relate.
Sadly, upon that one night where I went trick-or-treating, I never witnessed any events, so I tried to fill the year with pranks to make up for these things.
Well, one prank that I know all too well, and it's likely going to happen again this year, but my brother has one of the most simple and hilarious jokes he likes to pull on my mum around Halloween. Alright, so a couple of years ago, my brother was at the point in high school when he was about to leave. And you know how, like, some last year leavers, they tend to pull off pranks like stink bombs, etc.
Ugh,
So my brother,
tasteless.
and so wanting to be a little creative, he went onto Amazon and he bought this life-sized cardboard freestanding cutout of Ainsley Harriott.
Yes?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Ainsley Harriott is, basically he's the he was the black guy who was the host of Ready Steady Cook, if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's basically all I know him from. He might be in other things, but that's where I know him the most. And so, he planned to place this cardboard cutout of Ainsley Harriott around his high school, like a Where's Wally sort of deal. But he was a little too embarrassed to put it in the school, and so he just set it up in random places around our house. And I remember walking up the stairs when he first got it. When I reached the top of the stairs, I saw Ainsley standing just outside his bedroom, and I was like, Jesus, who are you? And so, from my mum and dad's bedroom, I can hear my dad laughing, and knowing that my mum would come in later, I sort of kept my headphones and volume quiet, waiting for her reaction, and she was like, "Oh my god!" Like, but it hasn't stopped there ever, because later that night she passed it like 4 or 5 times, and every time it has made her jump, and it's just hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah. And the year after, my brother decided to put it up a notch. and
Wow.
because he's a bit of a wild shopper, he managed to get his hands on a Jason Voorhees hockey mask and stuck it on
Oh
the
my.
cardboard cutout's face, and he made it even worse. Like, my mom sort of knew to expect Ainsley at this point, and so he hid it in like mum's clinic or treatment room downstairs, and it was in the dark, and um the door was sort of ajar so I could see Ainsley in there, and I was like, and so I closed it over, and I waited all night, and suddenly out of nowhere I heard my mom go, "Oh my bloody Christ!" and I and I just fell on the floor laughing my tail off. So,
Did anyone here used to watch a show called Prank Patrol?
Prank
on
Patrol,
TV?
yes.
Oh, Prank Patrol. I think I remember that
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah.
way back when.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like one of my favorite pranks is like from the shows, like they've got the prankster and the victim in, like, they're two kids, and they're testing out a dream machine where it projects your dreams and nightmares onto this projection. And so the prankster pretends to fall asleep and dreams about this hideous teacher that's been haunting her in her class, and and the teacher gets closer and closer until the actor who plays her bursts through the wall and makes her scream at least 4
Oh.
times, and it was brilliant.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Remember the prank ninjas in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, during like the sort of setting up of the prank, the guy would be like, and after all that work, we can take a break, and he would like try to eat something or drink something, and it would be like solid or a completely different food, and he'd just go, ninjas!
Yeah.
And then it would cut to them doing their prank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Prank Patrol van, which looked quite cool as well.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
They were my favorite characters in that show.
Yes. Prank Patrol had a little bit of everything that kids loved.
There was another show like that when I was really little, and it was called something along the lines of Home on Their Own. And basically what it would be was their parents would go away on holiday for the week or so and stay behind with the crewmen. The kids stay behind with the crewmen, and they get to redesign the house any way they want.
Oh boy.
I think I remember something like that.
Yeah, but I've never been able to find clips again. I guess I'll have to look up because it's been a while. But one of the things they did was they weren't happy that their dad was always hogging the sofa or watching the TV. So what they did is they had like a dictionary that had a hidden button inside it. Like, you'd open it and there'd be a big red button. And if they pushed it, the sofa would tip him off of the sofa while he was watching the TV. And I always thought that was really funny. And so...
I thought they were going to install like the double-decker couch or something.
A double-decker couch? Oh, that is literally the worst idea I've heard. If you're sat on the top bunk... No, anyway.
You'd have people... If you're on the bottom, you'd have people's stinking feet in your face.
Like, I can just imagine like how shocked the parents must be when they come back. Like I can just imagine I don't know, like they've changed their parents' bedroom to be like a games room or something. Like, if they ever went to that extreme, then blimey.
Oh, all hell would break loose.
Oh, yeah. Because I was going to say, I never knew the full extent of what they could do. Like, the only other thing I remember was them having, like, one of them candy machine things where it's, like, a glass dome on top of a pole and you, like, put money in.
The gumball dispenser.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. And they had one of them in the house somewhere, but I didn't get to see much of it, so... Yeah.
Well, it does sound interesting. So, I wonder what Ainsley's gonna be wearing this year, because he's already got a Jason mask on, so how could it get any worse?
I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to the Fresh Air Show. I'm Randy Newman.
So, I've got some Halloween facts to make sure that we're all staying within the Halloween themes. So, here we go with our first Halloween fact. In medieval Europe, owls were thought to be witches. Anyone who hears an owl's call meant someone was going to die.
Oh no!
And as soon as I heard that, I immediately thought of Song of the Sea, because that also includes an owl
the
witch.
old lady.
Yeah. So yeah.
Naka's.
Mhm.
Something like that.
What are your thoughts on that, Dudley?
I'm actually a little worried because last night I heard an owl hooting.
Oh God!
dear.
Oh no!
Yes.
Dan, I think we're gonna need a new Dudley soon.
Oh God! Don't jinx it, please.
Well, they're few and far between, so you better find a decent one. You've got
Yeah, you should probably finish off that cloning machine pretty quickly before we lose all DNA.
yes.
All right. Okay. Here's another one. According to legend, if you see a spider on Halloween, it's actually the spirit of a loved one watching you.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, of all things, why would you come back as a spider?
Why not a ladybird? Everybody loves ladybirds.
Yeah, but they've got 8 legs to hug you with that way, I guess.
Oh God, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
But who would want to hug a spider, though? Who? Name one.
Haven't you seen those little pictures on Facebook with the little spider? It's like, you used bug spray on me? You know, the little cute spider. Have you seen
Lucas.
that picture?
Lucas the spider.
Yeah.
Hi.
Or if it was, I don't know how many people were traumatized by Charlotte's Web.
Aww.
And everyone apparently would want to hug that spider, according to Nostalgia Critic.
Charlotte's the only huggable, cute spider out there that I know of. So, But then again, even if Charlotte was real, I probably wouldn't hug a spider, because I've heard that if you stroke a spider, it can cause its hair to fall off. So that's a bit random. So.
Okay, have fun with that.
All right. Okay. Here's the next fact.
Oh, here we go.
Signs that you might be a werewolf included a unibrow, hairy hands, tattoos, and a long middle finger. As soon as I read this, that is clearly the police trying to get you to find gangsters and turn them in. Okay, kids, listen up. Werewolves are real. They look just like that guy. What's up? So, just keep that in mind, kids. Anytime you see a gangster out in the streets, they're actually a werewolf.
Anyone who swears at you with their middle finger would be like, werewolf!
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I could. As soon as I read that fact, I had to bring it up at some point. But speaking of ridiculous facts, here's another one that I found. Souling is a precursor to the modern day trick or treating. On Hallowmas, which is November 1st, the poor would go door to door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes, whatever the heck they are.
Soul cakes?
Yeah, as in,
Cakes that were made with human souls.
Oh God. I'm guessing the
That's
witch.
why you have to pray for them.
I'm guessing the witch from Hansel and Gretel is involved in this at some point, because only she would be involved in making something involving children.
I wonder if Voldemort likes soul cakes.
Oh, chances are, I wouldn't be surprised if that was an actual. Excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if that was an actual wizard treat in the series.
Rowan's just conjured up a cupcake on the screen for those of you who can't see, and I'm starting to get creeped out again.
Accio cupcake.
Whose soul is that, Rowan?
Oh. Hey Dudley, remember how
Oh God!
last night?
Rowan's a bitch confirmed.
You mean it already happened? Am I a ghost now? Do I appear as a ghost now in the podcast? I don't know.
Maybe
Well,
it's,
that is
Fletcher
because
ghost.
tonight-
maybe it's a Horcrux situation here. Maybe she's just split your soul in half or something.
But
Oh yeah, this is your first Horcrux.
well, I'd be a pretty creepy ghost if I was dressed as Heath Ledger and coming.
Oh God.
I'm gonna haunt you, Rowan, as Heath Ledger, telling
Bye.
bad jokes.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Hey,
So,
Rowan, when
Mhm.
I haunt you, I hope you find my jokes punny.
oh God. There's our first terrible
this
joke.
is gonna be fun.
The thing is about ghosts, isn't it strange how they always appear in the last condition that you find them in? Like you saying like you if you were killed off right now, you would be dressed as Heath Ledger's Joker for all eternity or something. It's the same sort of condition where people have been beheaded and they're like carrying their heads around. Like it's always in the last position that it was.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, this was how they looked before they died, so it would make sense for them to look that way.
Yeah.
But Rowan would do well because she'd be dressed as Princess Zelda. she could give a lot of gamers a surprising time. But Dan
I'm
would.
not your waifu.
God. That's one way of doing it.
I could do so much good in the world.
Alright. Here's another fact. The largest pumpkin ever grown was grown by Norm Craven in 1993, and it was weighed at 836 pounds.
Dang.
Yep. It's a lot of pumpkin.
That's a lot of pumpkin pie.
Ooh. You know, I've wanted to try and get into pies, but I don't know. It just seems like the UK is just not the country that...
Yeah, that's more America's thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Like
get into.
blueberry pie, apple pie,
All the
All-
variety.
kinds of pies always have this sort of American ring to it.
Hmm.
It's
That's
the
right.
British people who have fairy cakes and scones, or scones, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Tomato. I wouldn't get into pies if I were you, Dan. You might get eaten.
Where does that stem from?
I think it stems from the story about 11-headed dragons eating things for little people for kittens.
The 11-headed dragon.
You're with this 11-headed dragon.
Like,
Is this just going to be a running gag for the entire podcast now?
It was an amazing story.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry. They're outside the window, so chances are they're not going to be much of a disturbance. So, you're listening to the Fresh Air Show. It's time for another segment of the month's most ridiculous headlines. Alright, in this month's news, a school has banned school bags, so a kid turns up carrying his books in a microwave. That is one
Okay, I
heck
have so many questions.
that's one heck of a way to protest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start. First of all, school bans school bags.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's fear.
Or maybe that kid got told to do that by Ainsley Harriott, and he's gonna make sure that he doesn't get haunted by it. Or he's going to do food tech on the day. That would be quite a good way to be prepared for it.
Or even the 11-headed dragon. Maybe he's just turning up with extra equipment so he doesn't go wild. Ah.
Oh boy.
That is pretty daft, though. I mean, what if it
There's no way
What
to wrap
else
your
are you gonna
head
be
around
carrying
it.
them in?
what if it rained?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Why are your books all wet? Well, gee, I wonder if it's because I have nothing to put them in.
Don't worry, guys. I brought a microwave. Stick your books in. Beep 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 beep.
Oh,
And now they're all on fire.
Oh,
Hey, at least they're not wet.
all right. Here's
They're the exact opposite of wet.
all right. Here's the next headline. China plans to launch an artificial moon to light up the night skies. Now,
Well,
as soon as I heard of this, I just immediately thought of Majora's moon being launched into the sky. Like,
oh,
imagine that. It would be terrifying. I can see them doing that. I can see them doing that in Japan or something. Like,
yeah, Japan is just a weird place, but China.
The first thing I thought of was I've mentioned Sonic X before. And
Oh
there's
yeah, the egg
Yeah.
moon. I
yes,
remember that.
yeah. Like,
I used to love Sonic X back in the day, so I know exactly what you're talking
Yes.
about.
yes, exactly.
oh.
Oh, that was- but it kind of the episode made you just to give you a rundown. The egg moon, like Eggman, spoilers. Eggman sticks it into the sky and makes it stay in front of the sun, and people can't work out that the Earth's meant to rotate the sun. Basically, and then when you watch it, you feel stupid for not realizing such an obvious plot point. It's like,
Yeah. Either way, I think the artificial moon, it does sound kind of interesting. Like, I can imagine them using that in movies, like if they needed to have the moon a lot closer than it was, etc.
Yeah, they could just like key in a few things on the keyboard and bring it closer, but on the other hand, how far is too far when it comes to defying nature? I feel like we draw the line at trying to add things to space.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
can it create artificial cheese? Because like,
I'm
or
pretty
will
sure
it?
we've already done that.
I
Or
mean,
maybe they can make it like a wave machine. Because there's like myth that the moon makes waves happen or something, isn't there? Like from what I've heard. So
Mm-hmm.
all
wait,
right.
that'd be really bad for werewolves because then they'd have
Oh,
two
yeah.
Oh
moons.
god, they'd
and
be
then-
active all the time. Oh, oh jeez, that's a scary thought. Scary Halloween. All right. Next headline: the public is warned amid fear that a Black Panther is loose in Scotland. Rowan, you wouldn't happen to know of any of that, would you?
No.
No, I'm sure Black Leopard's not been.
He's on to us. They're
I
on
think
to
actually-
us.
I did see that headline actually, and I didn't scroll down far enough to see it was in Scotland.
Hmm.
So, like,
Yeah, we've all heard these rumours of like these mysterious panthers roaming around the UK countryside, but it
Are
seems
you
like
sure they're not just really big black cats?
who knows? But
Yeah.
until somebody tracks one down, we'll never know.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I thought that was fascinating. So, and then there's this Kanye West. You all know how he changed his name recently to just YE. So it's
What?
so
E
Kanye.
West?
Yes. As soon as I heard that, I just thought of Eee.
Oh, that's gonna be a new meme. That's gonna be a new.
That's gonna haunt him for the rest of his days.
Yeah, it's just gonna be his face over the Yee dinosaur's face, and it's gonna be like Yee in
Alright.
his Kanye voice.
Oh, yes. Alright. And
People who make memes make it happen.
yes. And then there's this last headline, and just so you know, it's a fake headline, but it's still equally ridiculous.
Okay.
Human couple gives birth to a cat. Fake news.
Why even make that?
I don't know. Fake news at its prime
Have we-
here, folks.
Have we really run out of things to talk about that they need to do things like this? I very nearly swore there.
It's alright. that's just the prime example of fake news. Like, you can't get any more fake than that.
Ridiculous.
Did two people steal a panther cub and the panther's out in Scotland for revenge? Like, where is my baby? Where is it?
Oh,
Maybe
God.
that's the reason for all the Black Panthers around.
Makes sense.
Maybe they're cat creatures and not werewolves, like in Scooby Doo. Do you remember cat creatures?
Yeah.
Where they-
Oh, werecats, yes.
Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, God. Ugh.
We were wrong all along. We didn't need to fear the wolves. It was the house cats we needed to fear.
Yes, because I guess we could bring this up. Are you two cat people or dog people, or are you both?
Cat person.
I'm a cat person.
I've wanted to be a cat person, but because for the last few years I've been living in the company of my dog Oscar, I guess I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to handling cats. So yeah. So
I had a dog at one point in my life. It was actually my brother's dog because he was the one who wanted it, but it lived in the same house as me, so I had to live with it. But I still felt more of a kinship towards the cats, maybe because they were there first, and I just associate with them better because they're a lot like me. They're quiet, they do their own thing, they spend a lot of time just sleeping and lazing around, just like me.
yeah.
Well, the reason I ask is because a lot of people think cats are evil.
Yeah.
But, like,
Like, Rowan, what? That was something I kind of wanted to bring up, Rowan, because you were born a cat. What is your thought about people stereotyping the cats around Halloween?
Well, I think people who believe that cats are quote-unquote evil are actually just people who try to treat them the same way they treat dogs. Because, compare cats to dogs and, like, belly rubs. Because when you rub a dog's belly, they're like, oh, yes. But when you rub a cat's belly, they sort of start clawing at you.
yes, it's the belly trap. Look at me, I'm cute. Come and stroke me. They start saying.
See, the thing is, cats aren't actually attacking you. It's just that when you touch their belly, they assume that you're trying to play with them. So they're like, oh, we're play fighting. Okay. Wait, where are you going? That's the thing, because when people try to associate dog behavior with cats, they end up like doing something that either annoys the cats or just mistranslates something they do, because that's what they see dogs do, being aggressive. So they're like, oh, when a dog is aggressive like this and the cat acts the same way, they must be just straight up aggressive.
Yeah. I mean,
They
some
just
cats.
they just don't seem to realize that cats have different behaviors from dogs.
Mm-hmm. So.
You were saying, Dudley?
Oh, I was just going to say, some cats don't like to be touched, but then, like, some can be aggressive sometimes, but a lot of them do want to play as well. And I've forgotten the other thing I
That's
wanted to
just
say.
usually the case. I mean, my cats are perfectly chill. Like, you'll rub their belly, and the most they'll do is just, like, get a foot on your hand to push you off when they're doing a bit much. So,
They just let you know.
They're like, no, thank you.
I mean, I had a snake for some time,
Yeah.
like, which I think I've mentioned before. Actually, to be fair, and yeah, that was they're quite good pets. I mean, I know I'm going off topic now. Sorry. Yeah, me tickle is cool. And when you speak parcel tongue, it helps as well.
Yeah. Oh, blimey. Is that... We've already reached our target time zone in this podcast.
Yeah, it's already been an hour.
Yeah. I even had a whole quiz planned. Well, I guess seeing as how not much happens in November, I think we might schedule that true or false quiz later. So, either way, hope you all have a happy Halloween wherever you may celebrate it. So, I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast and don't have nightmares.
Yes, and remember, if a spider tries to hug you, that's no good.
Alright, so...
You did not just do that, Dudley. You did
Oh, yes, I did.
that, Prince.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Alright.
Dudley, remember that I have your soul cake.
Ah!
Okay. See you next month, folks. Goodbye.
Bye.